Hey folks, you know I take my trail camera intel pretty seriously. It's a huge part of how I build my hunting strategy, and I'm always looking for gear that just flat out works. Stuff I can rely on. Backed by solid people and the best customer support in the business. That's exactly why I run Tacticam Reveal cell cameras. Whether you're just getting started or you're a full-blown data junkie like me, they've got a camera to fit your budget and your hunting style. My go-to currently is the Reveal 3.0 series with fully integrated GPS. These things are dead simple to set up. Less fiddling, more scouting and hunting. And they run on most major service providers and will automatically connect you to the strongest signal in your area. So no more hiking to the top of a ridge just to realize you've got the wrong service provider. Been there, not fun. Here's the kicker. You don't even need an SD card. That means fewer trips in, less pressure on your spots, and more real-time intel sent straight to your phone. And if you pair it with a Reveal solar panel or a lithium cartridge, you can keep those cameras running longer and spend more time doing what actually matters. Scouting new ground, dialing in a setup, or maybe, just maybe, finally cleaning the garage like you told your wife you would before the season started. Don't just take my word for it. Check out Tacticam Reveal at Tacticam.com. Tacticam. Everything you need to take your hunting to the next level. Stay more comfortable, more concealed, and in the stand longer with Oscio gear. Premium camouflage apparel created for bow hunters by bow hunters. Oscio's revolutionary patented camo patterns and innovative features are designed to keep whitetail bow hunters totally invisible and dead quiet. Elevate your game with Oscio. Visit asiogear.com and take 20% off your purchase with code TRUTH20. Welcome to another episode of the Truth from the Stand Deer Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Tacticam Reveal Cellular Cameras. I'm your host, Clint Campbell, and you're listening to episode number 455. Today, I'm joined again by my buddy Greg Litzinger for part 2 of our listener Q&A to help you get ready for the season. All right. What is up, everyone? Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are feeling fine. Hope you're getting jazzed up for hunting season if you're out chasing stuff. Hopefully you're filling some tags. I've been super stoked because it's we've had like a cold snap in Pennsylvania. I don't know what's happening in other parts of the country, but we got kind of early fall-like weather, I would say, where it's high of like 70-ish in lows and like the 50s at night. So you wake up in the morning and it's starting to feel like, that weather that kind of gets you pumped up and start to think about, not that we haven't been thinking about hunting season for a little while now, but it really starts to get you thinking about hunting season, and it's just around the corner. I was looking at the forecast, not to talk old man weather here, but, the Big Woods piece, I need to pull some cameras. I need to do a check. I always try to wait till after like August 18th or August 22nd, because it seems to be the kind of time frame that if you're going to get a buck that's going to kind of cruise through your area or buy a camera, might be checking out, where his fall range might be. That's usually the time frame that it happens. So I usually always try to wait to pull cameras till after that, between the 18th and 22nd of August. But, we're not out of the woods for hot days yet, certainly, right? We'll probably get another heater here, like, the next couple weeks. But trying to find the coolest days to kind of go up and do all the work that I need to do. And just looking at the forecast, like Tuesday and Wednesday, so it'd be the day this drops, and yesterday essentially, is supposed to be, I think, a high of like 68 or 69 those 2 days in that particular area, with like the lows in the 40s at night. So I am chomping at the bit to get up there. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up probably truck camping and working from the truck with the Starlink, so I can get like morning and evening kind of trail camera work done. And if I'm there for 2 days, it's like I should probably be able to get everything kind of wrapped up and done that I need to get done and ready for October. So the weather's getting right. It's gorgeous to be outside now. Chomping at the bit to get into the woods, going to get a little work done. Actually going up to visit my buddy Aaron Hepler this week to do some shooting. And there's a place up there, I think I mentioned this before. He has access to a farm where he lives that I'm probably going to hunt with him a little bit, especially early, because I've got a handful of doe tags, and especially with the longbow being first year, before I head out to the Midwest and try to chase, some big critters on the ground. My hope is to try to get a little bit of blood on the arrow with that before I leave, sometime toward the end of toward the end of October. So he's been nice enough to say, hey, why don't you come out and hunt with me here? A couple different sits, places, tons of does, target rich environment. So, if I go out and do that for a couple of days, I should get a shot opportunity, and try to get a little experience with the longbow before shit gets real. So with that, we're going to just jump into today's show. Have a cool show for you guys today. This is part 2 of the Q&A session that I did with my buddy Greg Litzinger. Part 1 was last week, so if you didn't listen to that, I would head back and check that out. We cover a ton of ground in this one, pretty much everything under the sun imaginable. I think the first one we did a lot of like scrape and thermal kind of talk. This one we get a little bit more into kind of bow setups, arrow setups, like saddle setups, access, like you name it. Basically, we kind of cover it in this one. So hope you guys dig it. And with that, thank you all for listening. Is social media setting realistic goals for a guy who hunts public land, or am I just trash? Join the trash party, bud.
Yeah. Come on in. The water's fine. Well, I mean, I know a handful. I know more than a handful. Being, I guess in the industry, I know a lot of people that claim to be public land hunters. Yeah, but they're not really public land hunters. They're hunting places near public land. They're hunting, parks that open up, limited draw type areas. Yeah, it's public. Anybody can get the tag, but is it really like a ground like
there's only going to be five tags.
Yeah, exactly. We have there's a few guys around that there's certain things you got to apply for. And you're allowed to, just got my power back. Oh, and it's gone.
Nice.
And we're out.
It's gone.
That fan felt good for a second. But
psych.
Yeah, like a lot of guys that will pound that public land diehard. There's not as many as you think there is. And that is just my take. And I've been hunting public a long time, and I've seen this shift. And guys want to put that in their bio, or I'm a public land hunter. Yeah, there's a little gray area for a lot of people. Not a lot of people, some people. They want to, I shot this pope on public. No, you didn't. You shot it in a park. Yeah, it's public, but you got to apply for a special draw, and you can only hunt it for a week or two, and people are shooting nice deer. Yeah, there's no hunting. Of course, it's but yeah, it is public. You did have to apply for the tag, but is it really public? What's the real definition of public here? Anybody's hunting it, bird hunters, you're allowed to drive deer. There's a lot of, I think, variables when it comes to that you could put into the public land hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's like anything else, man. You're going to have people who expand definitions to their benefit, to benefit them. It's not any different in this.
It really is a shame because
people want the.
Go
ahead. You go.
This delay is killing me.
You first.
But it's a true, in my opinion, a true public land piece is anybody can hunt it. There's no special draw. There's no it's basically an over-counter tag. There's no restrictions. You can bird hunt it, you can bow hunt it, you can crossbow, gun. It's full hunting, full hiking, full horseback riding, whatever it might be, but it's access to everyone. It's not a limited draw. We don't allow this area don't open till, this certain time, and we don't allow so many hunters. No. Yeah, it's public, but put a little asterisk next to that, public needs to be,
right.
You can fish it, you can hike it, in my opinion,
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like the thought came to my mind of everyone wants to be a gangster till it's time to do gangster shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this reminds me of,
Yeah, I mean, you look at,
what I'll say is that, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with you in everything that you said. the question the guy's asking, like, does it set realistic goals for a guy? If you're paying attention to social media, like, it's not setting realistic goals for anything in your life, period.
Exactly.
That's not just hunting, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what
True.
it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not real life. It's like, I would tell you the same thing I tell my daughter, right? It's like, that shit's not real life.
Yeah.
So no, you're not trash. You're like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
That is normal, who probably works a normal job and has a family or not, or regardless of not having a family or having a family or not, you probably have other responsibilities or priorities.
Yeah.
That hunting is not your job. And so you don't do it, 365 days a year. And so what you are is just a hunter
Yeah.
who is hunting public land like the rest of us, who don't embellish,
Yeah.
what we're doing.
And I mean,
So
and even like
welcome to the tribe.
yeah, and the goal standpoint, like, I mean, last year my goal shifted. Like, my goal was to shoot any legal deer that came in front of me with the mount tap. So it's like, yeah, goal accomplished. Like, I shot 3 deer. I've seen a lot of big bucks, but like this year, the goal's still the same. To shoot some does, but also, like, get back into. I'd like to target like 2.5 if I can. Like, your goal might change throughout the year. Like, you might be working a lot. Your goal, you get 3 days to hunt. Your goal should be to put some meat in the freezer. Don't stop worrying about antlers, and hunt for meat. If you're hunting just for antlers, I don't know, maybe you kind of missed. I think you maybe missed why we're hunting. Like, I love shooting bucks, but I love shooting deer. I love eating deer. So the goal should be to put meat in the freezer and then let things happen organically after that.
Yeah, I think that's important, man. Like the goal setting thing, like your year last year, and we talked about it in the last time we got together, is like a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm doing now this year, right? Which is like, I'm changing my weapon, and I'm taking a route that is going to be challenging for me, and I know it. And so, anything I kill with that thing is going to be a trophy. Like I kill the first doe I kill with that thing, dude, I'm going to be stoked. Like that's,
mount that thing.
I might even try to kill some rabbits, dude, I might be the only guy ever with a doe mount, like for real. I think, my goals for this year, just to give this fella an example, is to have some success with my longbow, whatever that happens to look like, whatever gets me excited on whatever hunt, and to not give a flying F what anybody else is doing.
Yep.
That's my goal. Those are my goals every year, is to do what I want to do, right? And not give an F what other people are doing.
Yep. Yeah.
So take that, use it, don't use it, but you'll probably be happier if you do.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to the next one here. So this one is actually about setups. He's asking, because we had one that was asking about trad stuff. This fellow's asking about trad bow and arrow setups for the fall, and I know you're changing some stuff up, so I want to hear about that. So we'll just do this question. We'll kind of cover both the arrow bow setup questions. So it's just your trad bow and arrow setup for this fall. So I'll take a stab at this one first, and then I know you made a bunch of changes this year too. So we'll talk about that in your battle of your tuning with your wrist.
Yeah.
So my trad bow, it's a 52-inch tactical Bushman Native American longbow. The setup on it's like 50-pound draw. My draw length is only 26 and a half. It's like I have a short draw length. And my arrow setup is pretty straightforward. I didn't want to tinker. My goal was to try to set this or build an arrow that was just going to shoot well. Like, I need something that's going to be forgiving, because I'm new at shooting a longbow. Like, I've been shooting one for 2 years, but like, it's a new hunting situation for me. So I'm looking for not the fastest, not the, whatever. I'm looking for the most stable and accurate arrow I could build, right? I wasn't looking for like super heavyweight. So when I went in to build my arrow, I didn't have a set weight in mind that I was trying to hit. Like, that was not even in my lexicon. My goal was I want to build an arrow that I can shoot consistently and place it where I want it to go consistently within reason, right? Because I'm not going to be as consistent with this as I was with my compound. I knew that, so I was trying to, be as consistent as I could possibly be within reason. And so with that, working with Todd, like I started with my point weight first. I knew I wanted to shoot something kind of heavy out front, so 200 grain, head. And so this year I'm using the Grizzly Stick Samurais is what I'm using for like my hunting setup for my broadhead. So I started with a 200 grain field point, and then I took Todd's advice as well, and I use Black Eagle vintage arrows, and it's just really because Todd uses them, he likes them, and he's been doing it a long time, and so I was like, I'm just going to base a lot of what I'm going to do off of stuff that he's used and had success with, because I also didn't want to do a lot of tinkering because I'm new at this, so I just wanted stuff that I knew that would work for the most part. The only thing I had to play around with is I got the kit, and I played around with a couple different spines. I thought maybe a 500 would work, but I was really having to finagle like my point weight and stuff like that way more than I wanted to. And the length, I just couldn't get it right. Like I got one to tune pretty well, but it just would not shoot as well as I wanted it to. That was a 500 spine arrow. And when I switched to a 400 spine, which was like some of the arrows that I had built previously for the longbow that Todd gave me last year, those arrows just flew well and they shot straight, and I could get them to land where I wanted them to land. And it wasn't like I wasn't getting flyers. And so I was like, I'm not going to fight the arrow. Like the bow likes that arrow. It wants to shoot that arrow. I shoot it well, so I'm just going to use it. So I basically have like I think it's 32 inch or 31 and a half. I can't remember if it's 32 and a half or 31 and a half inch arrow. I use a 4-inch fletching, like fake feathers fletching. And I have a 200 grain head out front. Like I said, the samurai head, single bevel, and I have a 44 grain insert. So I increased my insert weight a little bit, to get it to tune the way I wanted it to tune. And it flies well. I'm able to shoot it consistently. I'm accurate with it out to like 25 yards. So, I wasn't gonna try to be like, I want an arrow this weight with this type of fletchings because it looks cool. Like I wasn't playing that game. I was going, what shoots well? What can I kill stuff with? I'm done. Now I'm just going to focus on continuing to shoot through the summer and be confident when I hit the woods.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And the goal shouldn't be to, have a specific arrow. The goal should be have an accurate arrow, a forgiving arrow setup. I build arrows specifically for speed. Like for me, I like 275 max. I shoot a big fixed blade. I don't want to get 280, 285. I start getting planing issues. So like the 270 range, 265. I'm comfortable with that pin gap. I know the arc, and I've been shooting that speed forever. So whatever bow I get, I aim for that speed. I tune for that. I build an arrow basically for that speed. Like this year, I got the Matthews, and I went on to the Archer's Advantage or whatever, on Target, whatever I got, and I specifically built an arrow. I'm shooting like 63 pounds with the Matthews, and it turned out to be like a 300 spine, which to get the speed out and the grain I wanted, I had to shoot a thinner wall 300 spine. I'm at 486 grains right now, and I'm at like I think 271, 272, depends on the chronograph. But like, the tuning was tough, but the arrow's been great. I can't complain with the arrow I built, and then guys from Michigan built me some arrows. So the arrow's been spot on money. I can't ask for anything more. The tuning part comes from me and my wrist, not wristing. I had to tune that bow a lot longer than I wanted to get consistent bullet holes like through paper. Some days I got a good tune, other days I didn't have a good tune, and it took me probably 4 months of shooting on a regular basis to really get like a wrist placement down. Like I tried a bunch of different grips. I've tried. I bought like 4 different grips, and they all have their upsides, but also like downsides. And the grip I'm using now, seems to work really good for my hand. I can't really, I can't complain. When I do my part, the bow does its part. I was shooting broadheads, and I shoot a big 4 blade inch and 3/16. Like it's a big cut broadhead. And I was shooting that at 60 yards with a lighted knot, just watching it just drop in my little deer target there. I had like a little orange sticker there, and Annette came home. She's like, "Daddy, can you hit that target?" I'm like, "I don't know. That's kind of a far shot. I haven't really shot broadheads this far." She goes, "You can do it." I'm like, "You're right. I can do it." I went back. I'm like, "Please hit this target." And I pulled back, and shot, and that arrow it just dropped right in there, just outside of center of my little orange sticker. We go down there. She's like, "Daddy, look, you hit it." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's pretty good." She goes, "You're the best shot I know, Dad." I'm like, "Thanks, kid. Thanks." But it's like, and it's like, it's a very forgiving setup for a speed bow. I mean, that bow's got a lot of kick to it.
Mm.
I kind of got it dialed in now where I'm not hating the bow. I was definitely not liking the bow there for a while. Like, this bow is not for me, and I don't think the tuning just took way longer than I thought it would take. People are like, "Oh, swap out the top hats. You're good to go." Man, no. Yeah, I did not have that luxury. So I got it tuned up now,
Right.
and the boat, everything's just shooting really well. So I can't complain with the setup, and we were shooting last Sunday at the local range there. Anything over like 50 yards, I mean, I was putting it right on the backside of the 10, and one thing I learned last year shooting the mount tab is like the Joel Turner stuff, like you walk yourself through every shot process. With this Matthews and everything, I've kind of adopted the same routine where, all right, I pull back, I have a whole system, and I talk myself through my shot sequence, which was probably not helping my tuning issues because that's not how I shot a bow for years. I was a super subconscious shooter. Now I'm an active shooter. It's like, thumb the finger, curl the finger, pull into the X, and I talk myself through the shot, and it's been going pretty well. I mean, the bow has definitely got me a few extra points when I didn't do my part. So I definitely got a nice forgiving arrow set up, good speed, and I mean it's a Matthews, so you're going to get a good, well-built bow. But I can't complain,
Yeah.
and complaining is not going to do anything anyway. So I just kind of toughed it out, and now a couple weeks for the season, I feel really confident in my setup. And watch this year. I'm shooting 60, 70, 80 yards. I'll shoot every deer at 10 yards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've been, I've been watching you shoot like on, Instagram stuff you've been posting or whatever. It's like, it's looking good. You look
Yeah.
like look like you're dialed in. I know you were struggling with it for a while. We were texting back and forth and stuff like that. I guess I should have mentioned also, I think my arrow weight is around like around 560, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's like roughly 560 grains is roughly where my arrow weight comes in. And then the other thing I started doing, like as I get ready for season now, it's like I'm shooting the samurais, the grizzly stick samurais, like they're whatever. Like they have two versions. They have a samurai, and then they have a samurai, which I think is called their Overkill brand, which is just like it's made with a little softer metal, and it'll sharpen easier, but it doesn't take as much abuse as well. So what I ended up doing was buying like their two sets of their high end ones. So I have 6 of their high end ones, and those are the ones I'll hunt with. And I have 3 of their Overkill samurai models, same grain, and I use one of those as a practice broadhead with one of my hunting arrows that I built. So I have practice arrows and I have hunting arrows, and I use one hunting arrow and I shoot, and that's what I shoot every day now. It's just that one broadhead that I use for practice with a hunting arrow set up. And the hunting arrow setup is exactly like my practice arrows, only they're fletched with different colored fletchings because I wanted all white so I could see it better, or see it fly better. And that's what I practice with every day. So it's like now it's like I really don't even shoot field points at this point. It's like I'm going out and I'm shooting like 3 to 6 arrows a day where I have to just make those count. Where it's like I got 3 shots. I'll take one in the morning, one in the evening, and one at night. And like those are like I'm seeing a deer and I got to kill it.
That's because with my wrist, shooting a lot of arrows fatigues me out. Like it hurts my forearm. Like it's gotten better. I've gotten stronger. I've kind of had to work through it. But I mean, for a while there, like I was getting like 12 hours in, and my arm, everything was done. But I mean, I don't know if it's just mentally or this bow setup, but I mean, my first shot, pretty much from 10 yards to 70 yards, is always money with field point or broadhead. So it's like whatever you know, the system's just working for me right now. And even when I was having problems with the tuning, my cold shot was always right where it needed to be. So it's like, even if I'm having, like I can kind of count on this bow, I think, and that first shot is all I need, and usually that first shot is some of my best shooting. Like I'll go out like 6 o'clock in the morning there, 6:30, and I'll shoot a broadhead at 40 yards, and it's right there, and I'll like leave the lighted knock out there for a half hour. I'll just look at it, and it's like, all right, like I'm good, like I'm in a lot better place mentally than I was last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure, dude. That's for sure, man. Yeah. All right, so I think we addressed that one well enough. We're gonna move on to another here. Just kind of looking here. All right, so we'll hit this one. This fella asks for, and I'll let you can take this one first. Single best tool for success on home hunting ground versus away hunting away from home. Single best tool for finding success on home hunting ground. So local versus travel.
Single best tool. Mm-hmm. Trust yourself. I think a lot of people doubt themselves, doubt their skill. Like accept your skill for whatever it is, but trust you made the right decision. Because I can, when I'm really dialed in, even away and home, and like I know I'm going to kill a deer, like I go out to my tree. There's no deviation. I go right to that tree, and I believe in the setup 100%. And I think the lack of trust in your skill, equipment, whatever it might be, I think is the biggest downfall one can have. You go out there and be like, man, I don't know, that other tree looks good. Right. And you start playing that, and well, maybe this and maybe this, and you start just doubting what you're capable of. I think is never a good thing, because doubt's a killer. You start doubting everything because you doubt your tree. Next thing you know, you're going to doubt your bow or doubt your gear, your boots, whatever it might be. Like it's like a cancer almost. It just can permeate you, and you got to just trust what you're doing is going to work. It might not work this time, but keep having faith in what you're doing, and trust your setup, trust your gear. Yeah. I think that's even like out of state, like knowing when you go out of state, like trust your skill set. Like, okay, I'm a good hunter. I'm not a mountain hunter, but I can read sign. I understand terrain a little bit. Trust that. Trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. Don't second guess yourself.
Yeah, those are great, man. When I saw this question, like I immediately thought of for at home, the best tool for at home is time, because you live there. You got all the time in the world. Like there's no rush. You got time in the off season to scout as much as you want to. You got time during the season, right? It's a little different when you're away from home. That's why I really like the trust yourself component of it. I think the one thing I would add to it, because I don't want to build off of that, because I think you did a good job kind of talking about that, is that for both of them, is deer are deer no matter where you're at.
Exactly.
They want the same things, whether you find them in Jersey, whether you find them in the mountains of PA, whether you find them in the plains of Oklahoma or Nebraska. They're looking for the same things at the different times of year. The only thing that changes is how they go about acquiring those things and where they acquire those things.
Well, I think too, people,
that's what's different, right?
Yeah. People put deer up on a pedestal, like a mature deer is like a unicorn. It's not. Mature deer is not a unicorn. Yeah, they're a different animal necessarily than a yearling, but they're still going to need, like you said, the basic things. They need food, cover, water. I don't care if it's the rut. I don't care if it's June. Like those three things, they need them every day. So it's like if you focus on those three things, no matter what part of the season, I think you could, have a good time doing out of state hunt, in state hunt.
Yeah. Sweet. So I think we got that one pretty good. So this fella asks, we'll just blaze through this one real quick. Asks, can we get another view of this giant six? So I posted a big six, like in the Instagram post, and the answer to that is negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
That was a one-time deal. That
yeah,
was it. I very rarely share pictures of deer anymore, you
yeah,
know, and that was like maybe against my better judgment. Yeah, you'll see that one maybe when he's on the ground one of these days. That'll be the next time you
exactly.
see that deer. That'll be it.
Yeah,
Um,
I
the
love a big six.
uh, yeah, you do. I posted that for you actually. Is why I posted it. The all right. So this next question here is shot placement conversation. So aiming tips and tricks for different angle shots. So I'll take a stab at this one first. So I wouldn't go as far as to say they're tips, or I would go as far as to say they're tricks. I don't think there's any tricks necessarily when it comes to shot placement. I think more than anything is it goes back to a little bit what we talked about with like bow setup and stuff like that. I think you really need to kind of be painfully aware of what your equipment and what you are personally capable of.
Yes.
I think it kind of starts there, right? Like that is the biggest thing, because if you shouldn't be taking any shots, regardless of the equipment that you're using, that you think are at best marginal for you,
Yeah.
you know. And I think from there, it's like if you're a good shot and you have confidence you can make those shots, then it's like, well, have you built the right setup to take that shot?
Yes.
Right. You know, do you have a setup that can get the job done on whatever critter you're chasing? And in this instance, we're talking whitetails.
Yeah.
I have had to think about this more because of changing to a longbow now, right? Because, you know, shooting the previous bow, I was shooting a Hoyt, you know, that was fast and had a good arrow set up. Like I could, you know, I wouldn't say take risky shots, but I had a lot of confidence in my bow and had a lot of confidence in my ability to make a shot if I had to make it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was fast. So it's like I really never had to worry about a deer ducking the string or anything like that. Now, with the longbow, you know, I have to kind of take into consideration, you know, the further away I get, you know, is the deer on edge? Is he not on edge when he comes in, right? Like those are all things I have to take into more consideration now because my arrow isn't going to get there as quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the one piece of advice that Todd gave me was, you know, whatever you do, typically speaking, you know, shooting traditional equipment, you want to aim low, right? Like you would rather hit low, aim low than aim high.
Yeah.
Right. Because if they do duck, you're in the back straps or you just sailed it over top of them. You know, worst case scenario, you're in no man's land and you hit a deer and you're never going to recover it. You know, if you aim low, worst case scenario is you skim, you give him a little haircut, he goes on about his business, or you miss entirely.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a superficial wound. So I've been kind of thinking about that a lot for a bow or for a compound. What I used to do was I would set my pin, and I would typically hunt. I always hunted with a single pin. I would set it at 26 yards because I knew with my bow at 26 yards, at a 26-yard pin, shooting at 30 yards, my arrow would land 3 inches low, right? And if I were shooting at 10 yards, I would be 2-ish inches high, right? 2 to 3 inches high, right? So I could, no matter what distance I was, 0 to 30, I could always hold center mass of the lungs, of the vitals, and let it rip. And whether it ducked the string or not, I was gonna hit vitals. It was gonna be a kill shot, right? So that was the one thing how I always set up my compound for whitetails, because it took all the guesswork and pin placement out of my shot sequence.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it for me.
I think, you know, you touched on it briefly there. Your setup. If you like expandables, you're an expandable person. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, I'll get that out of the way. I'm not knocking expandables, but don't shoot expandables if you're shooting like a 350 grain arrow, 375 grain arrow, and you got a 26 or 27 draw length. Like it can work, yes, but you're putting yourself in a bad spot if things go south. Make sure if you're an alligator archer, build a little heavier arrow. If you're a new hunter, a female hunter, short draw, shoot a heavier arrow. I know when I got into hunting, aluminum arrows, were kind of heavy. The local shop here, they set me, I was like, oh, you need speed. And they set me up with a lightweight aluminum setup. I mean, I was getting like 3 inches of penetration, 4 inches of penetration on a deer because I was shooting, 35 pounds. Yeah, the bow was faster, but I didn't have the weight to, get where it needed to go. So I lost a few deer in my first initial hunting year, first couple of years because of the wrong arrow. Once I went with a heavy arrow, I never had that problem, but there is a trade-off, like I'm not a big compound. I need to shoot 700 grain arrow. I think 450 grain arrow is plenty good for a whitetail. I don't care if you're shooting 65, or 55 pounds. 450 grain arrow is a good start, good middle of the road. But also a tip, aim for your exit. Don't aim for the entrance. Aim where you want the arrow to go out. If they're quartering away, hey, aim at that last rib. If they're quartering towards, the angle, like you have to be very selective, and understand like where deer bones are, and how that front shoulder actually goes up in their body posture, like just pay attention to the deer. If they're on edge, aim a little low, if they're really nervous, definitely aim low. But if they're kind of carefree, yeah, put
right.
Put it center mass, just little things like that, but always aim for the exit. It just gives you mentally, I tell myself that even when I'm shooting 3D, like this time of year, I'll move my 3D target, even a broadhead, I'm like, aim for the exit. And sometimes it's hard because I've been shooting broadside, shooting for, points basically when I go to a 3D range, whatever. But when I put broadheads on, I move them because I hate shooting broadheads at a block target. I like shooting at a deer target. I go through a lot of deer targets, but
yeah,
I feel broadheads, I need that. And just put that thing quartering away, like I got to take that broadhead and pretty much put it in the guts of that deer because you line it up like that's the perfect shot. But it's so weird shooting at that target in your backyard, like, man, I'm destroying this target. But you need to put yourself in that situation, like a hunting type scenario, quartering towards, like where you want to shoot it. Like really be selective with your shots and aim for that exit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such good advice, man, because I do that in my yard where, now that I'm shooting just like a single broadhead, like those 3 shots I take during the day are all different angles, right?
Yeah.
Like one of them might be like a straight broadside shot, and I try to do them at different yardages too, right? And I always try to do one of each. I try to do one during the day where it's just like a broadside shot, one during the day it's a quartering away shot, one during the day it's a quartering toward shot, right? That way it's like I'm getting that rep of placing the arrow where I need to place it to get maximum, destruction, essentially, right?
Yeah, I did that last year with the mouth tab.
Such good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to, man. You got to get those reps, man, because
realistic too.
That's how the real world's going to work. You just,
If you're going to hunt from a saddle, start shooting out of a saddle. If you're going to have a hang-on climber, shoot at a height, not like a foot off the ground. Go up 10 feet and practice bending at the waist. Get realistic because a lot of people, they spend a lot of time shooting from the ground, but not in the air. If you're a ground hunter, that's great, but most of us will climb a tree at some point in time in the season, and you better, practice from that because the last thing you want to do is, not bend at the waist, and do something dumb. Oh, we got lights again. Woo. Sweating over here.
Look at you, man. You're back in the 21st century, brother.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, like I said, if you shoot from a tree stand, shoot out of the tree stand. Get some reps in.
Yeah.
And do the old one arrow.
I mean,
too.
I've even like with mine, like that's one thing. Yeah. That's the one thing I need to do now more of is actually get up into a tree and shoot because I've not gotten a lot of reps with my longbow in that situation. I have been spending more time shooting off the ground, like off my knees, funky angles, kind of leaning to the side, like that'll mimic what I might have to do in the plains. Because to me, that was the benefit of moving. Like the challenge of moving to a longbow was just, I can't shoot as far, and it's just a more challenging weapon to shoot, right? The benefit of it is that, man, I can get some sneaky shots off that I can't get off with a regular compound, because I have to, like, the whole draw sequence of getting vertical and stuff like that. Like I can snap some shots off in some close quarters at funky angles and stuff like that, right? And so that's the benefit of it, right? So I've been practicing some of those things. I ain't Jared Scheffler level yet, where I'm like shooting basketballs as they're bouncing off the ground and shit like that. Like, but maybe one day. All right, this next one. I guess I take this one first. I think you took the last one. And we just got a couple more here. We'll do. We've gotten a bunch, so I'm just gonna have to pick a couple randomly, so Greg can actually go eat dinner or something, and enjoy the air conditioning maybe now that he's got power again. This fella's right. This fella's asking, how has your hunting changed since having kids or gaining more responsibilities?
Oh.
I think we've answered this one in the past, so it's like I won't be super long-winded. It might be changing a little bit more for Greg now. Mine's changing kind of in the opposite. I think early on, I think everyone thinks it's going to be hard, which it is, because you're just balancing more stuff. So I just think from that standpoint, you have to be realistic with yourself, and like going back to what we talked about in an earlier one, like, don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Set your expectations, your goals around what you can do based on your circumstances, not others. But I think the one thing it did for me, as I get more responsibility, whether it's at home, family stuff, or whether it's, work related, or whether it's just because I enjoy training jiu-jitsu and I want to do that more, whatever it might be, is that it's actually made me more focused. I don't waste as much time now as I used to. Like whenever it comes to like hunting related stuff, whether it's scouting or whether it's like checking out maps or whatever, it's like I just have a much more focused intent about what I'm doing, and I'm just way more deliberate. If something doesn't feel right, I don't spend a whole lot of time wondering why it doesn't feel right. I just chalk it up to like, doesn't mean it wasn't right. It just means might not be the right time for me to explore that. And I move on. Right. I think whenever you have kids, you start to get a sense of like that, because you realize like hunting is a gift, and you're grateful when you get the opportunities to go do it. And so you look at it a little bit differently than it being we're hunters, we love hunting, but it is not your reason for existence, and so I think you start to really put things in the correct priority, which then makes it a little bit more acceptable for you to go like, hey, I just don't have as much time to spend doing it. I'm gonna have to do it a little bit differently, and it might look different for me, but I can still enjoy it. I can still love it. It's just going to be a different shade for me now. I'm at that different place now where it's like my daughter's a senior. She's going to graduate this year. She's going to be off to college. I'm going to be an empty nester. So I'm going to be able to do whatever I want at that point. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of do already to a degree, but I'm getting more freedom. So like this year, cause she's older, right? She drives now, takes herself to her horseback riding lessons, and she takes herself to jiu-jitsu. She takes herself to school. So we don't have to cart her around and stuff anymore. And my wife doesn't have to do that. And she takes herself to her doctor's appointments or dentist appointments and stuff like that. So now it's like, this October, like when I want to leave a week early and spend 3 or 4 weeks in the plains, like I can do that now, because she doesn't need me around as much. The downside is like the sappy dad part of me is like, she doesn't need me around as much.
Yes.
Right. Like, which is a whole different set of circumstances. Right. But from a hunting standpoint, you just got to recognize like the place you are in your life, and things are just going to be different for a while. They're not going to be the same. It's not going to be like that forever either. So,
there's I know, having a new kid, and a 7-year-old, 12-year-old, and now, a newborn, or 13, 7, and like a baby. With sports now, like both girls playing sports, I don't have as much, like, it's not as much time to go in the woods. So when I am in the woods, I try not to feel rushed, because it's like my life right now is like kind of chaotic. So it's like when I do like last season with my wrist and like not working, I didn't really hunt that much because, well, you know, my hand wouldn't allow me, but I did like stuff around the house. It was just like I did, try to help my wife out. I didn't really hunt that much, but when I was in the woods, I made sure I was 100% in the woods. And
Mm-hmm.
I might have hunted 17 days out of all season, and I had a phenomenal season. But I made sure I was 100% in that. And it just made not seeing a deer okay because I went out there and I gave everything I had and I left. I didn't see any deer. That's cool. And what I didn't feel like I needed to accomplish anything,
Mm-hmm.
And you got to set like even before like my wrist injury, I had 5 weeks vacation. Unless I went away, I didn't hunt every day. It's like life happens. Kids need to go here, wife needs this or that. So it's like I'd have 5 days. I might only hunt 3 of those days, like all days, because of well stuff. I got to do stuff. I'm a dad, husband. So having another kid, it's still like the same. It's going to be the same thing. Like I might take a week's vacation. I'm only going to hunt 3 days, but I'm going to give 100% to those 3 days. And my wife, she understands that. She might not necessarily agree with it, but she allows me to give it all those certain days I'm going hunting. And
Right.
if you don't have an understanding spouse, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, like it can make hunting very stressful. Like
Yeah.
my wife fully supports what I do. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
She would probably support me doing other things, but she allows me, allows me the freedom to
Right.
go out and do these without getting a lot of flack when I get back or home from hunting. And
Yeah.
I think that's
That's an
super
important,
important. Yeah.
dude. It's so important. Like that is one of the most important pieces, right? Is that like, because it makes it rough if you're out and there's going to be hell to pay when you get home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's some people who are in that boat and I feel for them. Right.
Yeah.
And it's probably something I overlook sometimes is like when I want to go hunt, it's like, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go like last year when I chased that deer and I was gone all the time.
Yeah.
Right. There was never any like, she would ask me when I'm going to come back just because she was
Yeah.
curious, like, hey, how many days are you going to be out there this week or whatever.
Yeah.
It was never from a standpoint of I want you home. It was just like, oh, what's your plan? Right. It's
Yeah.
just communication. Like it's just
Yeah.
normal spousal communication.
Yeah.
Like I need to let her know like what I'm doing and what my plans are. Right. So she can plan accordingly as well. Right. But it was never because I want you home at this day or whatever the case is, which makes it whenever I go to the woods, man, it's like I can just be in the woods.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about, oh man, am I going to spend an extra 2 hours in the woods and I'm going to go home and it's just going to be like
Yeah.
cold shoulder for the
Yeah.
next 3 days. Like I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And that's too. And cause I had kids late, so I never had to prioritize. I could just go hunting. And like when Net was born, it was like, all right, I like hunting, but I don't want hunting to rule my life. Like when Annette's old, like I don't want her to say my dad chose hunting or something over me. So it's like
Mhm.
the Annette family priority, and then I hunt when I can. Like I have to make sacrifices. So my sacrifice is like, yeah, I got a lot of vacation time. I don't use it for hunting anymore. It's like I get to
Right.
just a couple days, but like I said, going back, make those couple days count.
Mhm. Yeah. There was one time I went to Idaho to hunt the elk opener. And I was just jazzed when I went out and stayed with like Wilson and I hunted together. And when we made the plans and stuff like that, I was like, okay, yeah. It's like, when is it? Like, okay, the opener is like, whatever it was like August 28th or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, great. I'll be out for the opener. I'll spend like 8 days there, whatever, whatever day in September that was, that would be like the last day we could hunt. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and buy my plane tickets now. I was like, so they're, because they seem like it's a reasonable price right now. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and pick them up.
Yeah.
So I picked them up, and it didn't dawn on me until about 2 weeks before I was getting ready to leave that I was going to be gone over my daughter's birthday. And I've never missed a birthday, right? And we celebrated it because I was getting back like the weekend after her birthday, because sometimes we celebrate her birthday the weekend before, sometimes it's the weekend after. It just depends on what day it falls on, and like when she starts school and stuff like that, and when we can go back to visit family and stuff like that. So it depends on which weekend. So it wasn't like I was completely like a month later or whatever. But I felt so bad because like I'd never missed a birthday before, and it just totally slipped my mind when I was making plans. You know what I mean? And I just told her, I was like, I will never miss another one. Like, period, full stop. Right? And I haven't. It's like, if that's the schedule for elk hunting, I just don't go that year. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, if I can do it later, then great. But if it has to be like in that time frame, then I just don't go. You know? And that's just, you know, what you do when you're dad. You know?
Well, my wife's birthday is November 2nd.
Oh, my wife's birthday is the worst time possible. It's literally like the best, what I consider to be one of the best days of November. Yeah. And I've not been around for her birthday, on the other hand, for, you know, because my daughter's one thing. Like, I'm not going to miss that, right? My wife, I'm like, look, like, you've had like 40 some of these, and we're going to have a bunch more of these. We have a bunch more of these together. Like, so, and she makes out too, because like I overcompensate since I'm gone over her birthday all the time. It's funny. Her and Chad's birthday is the same day. And so it always makes fun of me. She's like, you spend my birthday with Chad almost every year. I'm like, yes, I do. And I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, man. Let's move on to the next question. This fellow's asking, do you scout in season 2 or just before it? If so, when do you stop?
Never.
So I think I took the last one first. You can go first with this one.
Never stop scouting. ABS, always be scouting.
Always be scouting. Yeah. It's like breaks, man. It's like the ABS breaks.
That's right. Scout, postseason, in season. Like, scouting never ends. You know, to be a consistent whitetail killer, you know, especially mature deer, you know, you're targeting older deer, you got to be in the woods a lot, and you got to be scouting almost more than you're hunting. You know, if you wait till a couple weeks for the opener and you didn't really get much postseason scouting in, like, it's a deer woods changes pretty quickly sometimes, and you need to be on top of it. Now, like, trail cameras makes it a little easier because you can scout when you're not there. You know, you can camera around the spot. You can kind of figure it out a little quicker, but you still need to be in the woods, boots on the ground, you know, as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, this has gone back and forth. I think it somewhat is connected to the last question we just answered, which was, you know, my response would be, as often as you can, but not more than you want to, or not more than you can. Yeah. Right? Like, it seems like a dumb answer, but like for me, it's changed over time. I love scouting, but there's things that have entered my world that I like to do as well, that I like to do as much as scouting and sometimes more.
Wrestle men.
Wrestle men. I like to wrestle dudes, you know? You know, so the other part of it too was, you know, last year, and look, I think it's also circumstantial. I'm in a unique situation where it's like I work from home. I can have the little trailer that I built so I can get away, so to hunt and live out of. And so I can kind of travel, hunt, work, and do everything I need to do and be kind of mobile and remote. And so I can have situations like last year where I literally hunted every day, you know, for weeks. And so that was actually more valuable for me than actually preseason, like doing any of the postseason scouting, you know? And so, and last year was really the first year I took full advantage of it. And so now for me, things have changed where it's like, I have other things in my life during different times of the year that I really enjoy doing. So I prioritize those, and I still get out and do some scouting. Don't do it as much postseason as I used to, but it's because like my approach has changed a little bit where I value the in-season scouting more, and I'm able to spend that time in the woods during the season now, right? To where it's like, I can spend a week somewhere that I want to hunt and hunt morning and evening every day. And then Saturday, Sunday hunt all day. Right. And I can spend a lot of hours in the woods, and I can kind of follow the shift that's happening during the course of a year. Right. Where otherwise you have to kind of take data long-term to a degree, or understanding, like a deep understanding of postseason, stuff like that, and kind of map out a plan for the year or for the season of how you're going to shift, because you can't be in the woods
Yeah.
to observe the shifts happening, right? And so for me, I've just started taking more advantage of my availability in the fall and spending that time in the woods and spending less of it in it during postseason, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's whatever. I think the net is like as much time as you can spend in the woods is not a bad thing, but make it work for what you got going on in your world, though.
Sure.
All right, this next, I think we only have like one or two left here. So yeah, we have two questions left here. We'll finish up with these two. So this person is asking, how early are you getting set up in your saddle before first light in the morning? So I guess I'll take this one. It's kind of I'll start with this one. I think it goes back to a little bit of the other one we answered a little bit earlier. It's a little it's similar, slightly different. The way we kind of addressed it is it's somewhat circumstantial. Access, what time of year is it? Is it an area you need to be able to see a little bit beforehand, et cetera, et cetera? Like all those things should play into it. Is the wind right for access, like on your way in? Or if you wait an extra hour, is the wind shifting to where you can now access that area, right? So there's all those types of things you have to kind of consider. But as a rule, I usually try to be in my tree and set up with about an hour of darkness left, till I get to gray light. I don't have a real reason. Well, there's some guys that like to get in earlier than that. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm going to be honest. I value that extra hour of sleep more than I do the extra hour of sitting in the tree in the dark, just being honest, right? So usually for me, it's like I want to try to be in the tree and set up an hour before I expect critters to be moving.
Yeah, and it's site specific, really. It's some spots you need to get in there early to beat the group of does. That's where cameras come into play, because you got like a group of does that come through, 2 hours before light. Well, you got to get in there before them, because in there you're going to blow it out going in there. So, and I'd rather be too early than too late. I think a lot of people really push, because I see it all the time around here, is the bait hunting and stuff like that. Like I'll be set up, and like people are using a headlamp at gray light, and they're rushing. They're almost running to their tree, and it's like, dude, like you're just ruining it. Like you're just making too much commotion, but like they're running late. So I'd rather err on the side of, hey, I'm too early, because never is that. And I've never looked at that and like, this is a terrible idea. I'm here super early, set up, quiet, ready to kill. But it's always like when I feel rushed, then it's like I just get angry. Like I'm not in a good frame of mind sometimes when you're feeling rushed. Get in. Like I'd rather be early walking in. If you break a stick, like you can let the wood settle down, or you get winded, like walking in or whatever, or something changes. There's another hunter. Like I got time to go, to a plan B scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of a rule of thumb in general. It's like, football coaches, like if you're 5 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you want to be there 15 minutes early type of thing. I think it's similar for hunting. I think, you could probably never be there too early, to be honest. Yeah. It's all about, that spot and when do you need to be in there, to your point, great point of like, do you know that there's does you need to beat in there? Are you hunting like close to a bedding area, right? And you need to beat them back to bed. Like that's another reason why, would dictate what time you need to get in there. What's that?
Sometimes like for me getting early, like I don't like people knowing where I'm at. Like sometimes I got, it's pretty populated where I live. So it's like, there's other people hunting it. And it's like, you see that lamp and it's like, I know exactly what a person does. I'm going to go and see what's going on. Is it a ladder stand? Is it hang on? Can I hear him with a climber? Like, I like to know these things. If I'm quiet, set up, well, for anybody else, like, no one knows I'm there. Like, I'm a ghost. I've had people walk right underneath me, and it's to look at them like, and I watch them set up, and I'm like, man, that guy's in a hang on. And you go over there, and he hunts the crap out of it. Well, I'm never going to hunt there again, Or I'm, I've been running late, and a guy, he's flashing me, like, yelling at me. Well, now you just alerted all the deer in the county because you're yelling. Like, I can see your light, dude. Like, I'm not blind.
Right.
I see you're there. I'll go somewhere else. I don't need the light. Plus, hey, this is my spot. And then you're like, well, thanks for ruining a Saturday morning for both of us. You know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other thing I would say is early as you need to get a parking spot.
True.
That's
Yeah.
the other, like I don't want to say claim spots. It's not necessarily the goal, right? But just like, so you can get to the spot that you want to get to,
Yeah.
right? And I do the same thing where it's like I go in early. Not every spot do I go in super early, but there are a few spots that I go in super early because I just literally don't want people to see how. It might even be something that's not that far in, but I have like a really slick access,
Yeah.
and I personally don't mark anything like for access. It's like I use my map on my phone and that's it.
Yeah.
And the reason is I don't want anyone to see how I'm getting in and out of a spot, And so so especially if it's like something that's like a little cheeky, and not far off of like a parking lot or not far off of like a hiking trail or something like that. It's like, dude, I want to be in there early because I don't want a chance of someone, dicky mowing behind me on the trail on the way there and they see where I dive in. You know what I mean? It's like, I ain't trying to do that. But yeah. All right. This is the last one. We made it, man. It's almost a 2-hour marathon.
All right.
We can do it. We're there. So this one is, what tip when reading topo maps has paid off the most for you?
What?
I'll let you tackle this one first.
Oh, thanks. What?
Yeah, I'll give you the hard one.
Yeah. What tip? Say that again.
When
Read
reading
it again.
what tip when reading topo has paid off for you the most? Or I would say another way to say it is like, what has been maybe the most important part of reading topo for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back, like before phone, Onyx, and anything else. Back to actual map. Happened to actually have a paper map out in the woods. It was understanding how deer use in the area that you're hunting. Like how they use the terrain. Like understanding that, like, a long flat sometimes. I don't say this. I'm gonna say this, but not sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. So let me back up, back up a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just did the rewind for you.
Yeah. The biggest tip, I'd say, and how can I word this without sounding stupid? Because now I'm thinking about it in my head, it just sounds stupid, but.
Oh, just say it, dude. Sounds stupid. It'll be great for the both of us.
My tip is, let me go with a different answer because I can't say this without sounding retarded.
Damn it! Now I want to know what you were going to say.
No. What tip is, understand? God, I still like. I don't want to say this. It's like I can't without sounding like an idiot. It's like not cool.
Well, I think you jumped the shark on that one already. No.
Yeah. No. Here, you go first. So I can calm down.
Like, let me go. Let me see if you can pull it together. So I think a really simple one, and this isn't necessarily like how to read a topo map. I think the first thing is like, if you're new to topo, like let's take it from this perspective first. If like you're new to reading maps, right? Like baseline for a whitetail hunter is you should be able to read a topo map, like the basics of it, right? Because if you don't, man, you're really fighting an uphill battle because you can put yourself in much better positions if you just understand a little bit of terrain, right? Like you've heard people talk about certain terrain features ad nauseum, right? You've heard people talk about, saddles. You've heard people talk about pinch points. You've heard people talk about thermal hubs. You've heard people talk about ridge lines. You've heard people talk about secondary ridges. You've heard like all these terms that people throw around when they're talking about deer hunting and looking at maps. Like if you don't understand what some of those are, and I hate when people use some of them, stuff like that, because they use them and it's like, and sometimes I don't think they really know what they're talking about or looking at. But if you can at least look at a map and baseline identify those kind of like key elements that clearly whitetails like to use for different things, and they use them at different times of the year for different reasons, right? So you don't have it all figured out, but you at least can identify those primary things on a map. Like you've just went from like knowing jack shit to like knowing 25% of what you need to know to like find deer, right? Like that's how I would look at it, right?
Understand.
And then I think from there, once you kind of know that, then I think the next level beyond that, and this is still basic, is identifying the ones everyone else is also going to identify and removing them kind of from your options, right? Because you're going to fight pressure in those spots. Like a great example is in Southern Ohio when I hunted that piece, and one of these days I'll get back there. Great place to hunt. But anywhere that there was like a really obvious saddle, like you could put a camera in it and you're going to get deer traffic and you'll see what deer are in the area, but you're never going to hunt it because there's not just your camera, it's probably somebody else's camera and they probably got to stand there. Right. Yeah. And so, so those were kind of off the table. So like I just went through and went like anything that's an obvious saddle, not going to hunt. Right. Yeah. Some really subtle saddles, those would be in play. Right. So I would think like starting to mark stuff off. And then I think if you go one level beyond that is like starting like identifying habitat edges on your whatever map you're using, right? Understanding like the visual contrast of like green, like and which ones correlate to like what type of vegetation for the area, right? Like, is this like a clear cut? Is this like a cedar thicket? Is this like a, hard edge of hardwoods? Is this swamp? Like identifying where those edges are at, like by just looking at it. Now all of a sudden you've now taken the topography that they like, and now you can identify the habitat edges that they'll use if they don't have edge otherwise, right? That's created by like Topo or whatever. Now all of a sudden you've got like a lot of more than a few. You've got a lot of pieces of the puzzle of what they're going to want to use to move. Now it's just a matter of like syncing it up with like the right time of year and what other people are using. And then you should have like a pretty okay plan. Like that's like a pretty general way to like kind of look at it. And I think it's like those handful of things. If someone were brand new and just starting, I would say like focus on those things and you'll start to advance a lot more quickly because a lot of the dots will start to connect for you at that point.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And thinking about what I think I can say, I got a better way to word it. When I got into like hunting mountains, like I live in the flatland, so hunting mountains before GPSs, Garmin's, like you would just hopefully just walk in the dark and get lucky. And once I got a map and started scouting, old green screen GPS, I ran into a guy. Hopefully I word this correctly, say it correctly. He said, when you understand a topo map, because you're a beginner, it's like a roller. When your lines are spaced far apart, it's flat. You turn the roller up on its side, the lines are really narrow. It's steep. Start scouting where the steep meets the flat, and you'll find deer sign because it's the path of least resistance going up around something. Did that come out good?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense because
the steep is going to take a lot of people out of the equation, and the steep, once you start walking a few times, you're looking at a map, you know what like a deep cut or like a steep sidewall or something is, where that meets relatively flat ground, it's going to force movement, and you start focusing on those spots. You get away off the flats, get off the big, easy walking points. You get in some thick, nasty stuff, you'll start finding better buck sign. And sure enough, once I kind of took that and ran with it, I did start finding some truth in that, especially in, like more steeper terrain, even in rolling hills where you go like, it's nice rolling hills, easy walk. And then you find a deep cut or something really nasty. And it's just, you start walking it because you can't cross it. You start going up. Next thing you know, you got all these trails kind of merging and something's going up and around. And it just forces game movement.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great advice, man. And I think it kind of ties in with what I was saying too. It's like you kind of identify those places that are like obvious, right? Yep. And then you identify those transitions and then you start putting them all together and you start to recognize how all those things, whether it's elevation or whether it's habitat,
Yeah.
right, density, if you will, starts to dictate and move movement,
Yep.
right, or dictate
Yep.
deer movement, right? Because there's places where I hunt, and as well as you, that are flat, where it's like I'm not going to get an elevation change that dictates movement, right?
Exactly.
But what I will get is like some nasty, gnarly, like edge of a swamp that's so thick that you can't walk into. Like that's as good as like a steep sidewall, right?
Yep.
Because you're not going to walk into it, you know.
Yeah.
And so that'll start dictating movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense, and it didn't sound stupid. So you're good.
Yeah. Well, I have my original thing was like, man, that just sounds really not intelligent. I should probably not say that. And I was like,
Right.
usually I don't care, but that one I really cared because that was not good.
It was like I saw some drool coming out for like a little bit. It was
I was like, oh shit.
like, nice, man. Well, hey, buddy, I kept you here for like 2 hours, man. Be sensitive to your time. Let you go eat some dinner. Now that you got some power back, always good talking to you.
Yeah, man. Pleasure.
We got to get together one of these days. And one of these years, man, we're gonna do a hunt together. Like I can't believe it's not happened yet, but one of these years.
You're too busy jet setting out west. Us poor folk can't afford to take 6 weeks off and go chase big body Kansas deer. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna next year. I'm gonna take vacation. I'm gonna come to Jersey. What I'm gonna do?
Why?
I'm gonna come hunt with you. Nice. Well, hey man, before I let you go, let people know where they can follow along with you, what you got going on this season and whatnot.
Instagram, YouTube, Bow Hunting Fiend. I did pick up a smaller camera. I'm going to try and film a little bit this year, so hopefully.
Nice.
I feel like after last year, seeing all those encounters, I was like, I got nothing to show for it. Like, at least I might not shot a big buck, but if I would have footage of a big buck, it would have been pretty cool, you know? So
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to try and film a little bit more like I used to when I can, you know?
Right. Nice. Cool, buddy. Well, you take care. Good luck finishing that room, and I'll talk to you soon.
Later, man.
All right, folks, that is a wrap for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for listening. And if you haven't yet, please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And hell, while you're at it, head over to YouTube and give us a sub there, too. I'd be super appreciative if you do those couple things for me. And before I shut this thing down, I need to give a big shout out to our partners who continue to help us make this podcast possible. Tacticam, Osseo Gear, Hawk Optics, Face Off E-Bikes, and Lathrop & Sons Boot Company. And until next time, we'll see y'all.